Hello there, I'm Father George Salzman here at the Harvard Catholic Center. I wanted to talk about St. Francis de Sales and even more about All Saints' Day. I think All Saints' Day takes us a little bit of time to wrap our heads around it completely. The idea that there are many saints that aren't canonized, haven't been publicly mentioned, but are up there in heaven and saints indeed. And it's taken the church itself a while to wrap its head around that too. And one of the great people in helping the birth of our current concepts of sanctity, that everyone's called to it, is St. Francis de Sales. He flourished around 1600 there in Savoy, the lower right-hand corner of France, and he was Bishop of Geneva, but working in Annecy. And it was he who said, and it was radical at the time, in a time when they thought just monks and nuns, people who were enclosed, could be called to be saints, the life of sanctity. It was he who said that everyone was called to sanctity. And that was a radical idea, and he was radicaler still. He said that even soldiers and people at court were called to be saints, and that was thought simply to be impossible, but he held out a hand to them. He was a great correspondent with women, taking them seriously, with laity, taking them seriously, soldiers and those at court, again, taking people with busy jobs seriously, that they could be saints as well, in a time when it was thought that only people enclosed in cloisters or monasteries, that's to say monks and nuns, were worthy of being called to sanctity, not laity or priests either. He had a demanding task because he was reforming in the light of the Council of Trent, an Alpine diocese. So he was traveling all over on horseback, no small thing, cold a lot of the time, away from his books. And so he didn't write books himself, couldn't use the citations he'd have liked to, but he wrote pamphlets. And he was so effective in doing that in the budding area with Calvinists that he converted thousands of people back to the old faith. And so therefore he became the patron saint of writers, of all people. And similarly, he wrote so many letters, 26 folio volumes to people that we have today in the Annecy edition, that he was very instrumental in being a spiritual rector of the laity for our times as much as for that period then. He's had a great impact. His Introduction to the Devout Life, which is sort of a collection of some of the pamphlets and letters he sent to people, has always been considered inspired common sense. And as we all know, common sense isn't that common. And so he's much valued for his balance about the spiritual life. There was a Florida Methodist pastor who announced that he was going to have a Saturday seminar about St. Francis de Sales, and he said 300 people showed up. So he's someone that's appreciated more than we sometimes know by the advertising. And it's coming up. He died in 1622, so next year will be the 400th anniversary of his death, and another half centenary. His sidekick is associated in founding the Visitation Order of Holy Mary. That's to say, Saint Jane Frances de Chantal. She was born in 72 in 1572. So next year will be the 450th of her birth. So I'll have a lot to celebrate, and more about all these things later. Take care and God bless.